Peace, 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 peace. What's going on? Virtual world, TV land, cyberspace, everybody out there. It's the Culture Podcast hosted by the Floor is Yours podcast. Greetings. We got myself Furies. We got the Queen Lona. We got our man's Flex. But yo, tonight, we got our own OG.
Yeah, man.
We call her Miss Vicky. Miss Vicky, how you doing today, Queen?
I'm doing fine, my darling. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Pleasure. Y'all, I want y'all to stay tuned. We got an excellent show. We're going into the sacred herb today. So we're going to be breaking down cannabis decriminalization. So definitely tune in, get your pens, pads, and get ready to get some information because we're going to bring it to you all tonight. So Flex, hit us with that intro, sir.
I'm writing this, try not to cry. You stabilize my environment, inspired when you have my eye. My youth was consumed by vain beauty. Little did I know that vanity could masquerade the unruly. Coolly high love times, we reminisce, paint a vivid picture. Rasta come and lift her. Brethren, I don't want to see another sister get left up creek by another mister. Patience, no longer taking advantage of your innocence. Genetically superior, I had the vision this. Head ruled up my eye, I'm on my pilgrimage. History richer than the epic of Gilgamesh. We projected our broken worlds, made you a victim. Change the narrative, let us sit at your feet for wisdom. Pride, disrespect, I played my part. Now I apologize, cause deep down it hurt my heart. To the queens lost in the struggle. Part of the chain gang. $3 table. Sandra Bland.
It's going to always be a bad track right there.
Y'all see him already talking. That is just, I love you though. What's up, family? We are back. The Culture Podcast on the Floor is Yours podcast platform. And listen, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and yes, run them up. Tell your boyfriend, your boyfriend's boyfriend. Yes, some of them out there. Tell your mama, your daddy, aunts, and uncles. Because tonight, y'all, listen. Tonight is very, very important, especially for our community in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. We're still in a space where we're trying to figure out what to do and not to do when it comes to cannabis. So we said, who better?
None better.
To bring on tonight than Auntie, my sweet soror, Miss Vicky Collins. Listen, tell the people who you are, Queen.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight. My name is Vicky R. Williams Collins, and I own a company called Open Door Communications. I'm a mediator, trainer, and a conflict coach. But tonight, I'm also bringing forth my passion. My passion is the legalization for regulated adult use of cannabis. So y'all cheering, y'all don't need to be smoking no cannabis. You don't need to be inhaling. You don't need to be consuming. Okay? Because right at that point, your brains are too young to understand. But when you become an adult, 21, just like with alcohol, then let's talk about the adult regulated use of cannabis in Virginia as well as nationally. So that is my passion. I am an advocate. I was appointed to the Cannabis Reinvestment Board by Governor Northam. I don't know what's going on with that right now because we got a different governor in Youngkin, and he doesn't seem to be very supportive of cannabis or the legalization of adult regulated use in the medical space or in the recreational space. But I'm here to talk about it tonight, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on the platform of these fine folk. So welcome tonight.
Peace.
I want to do a disclaimer real quick. You ready? So tonight is one of those topics, right, that we understand either you're for it or you are against it, right? So this is what I'm going to ask the audience and those people who decide to join on tonight is to eat the meat and spit out the bones. While we are talking tonight, you might find a bunch of breast meat if you actually are open to it. Or you might find it where it's carry goat and there's more bones than it is meat. But I do ask that you do come in with an open mind, because it does not necessarily mean that we have an agenda, we're pushing an agenda, We just want to make sure that everyone is using it in an actual responsible way, and you know how to protect yourselves, your families, and your friends. So now that I got that disclaimer out here, because I am aware, especially being in the mental health realm, there's still stigma behind it. I wanted to at least give that to you guys, but we're going to go ahead and roll with the show. Go ahead, Furious. What's the first question, King?
I'm glad you set it up, but but based on where we are, especially where we live, for those that don't know, we're on the East Coast of Virginia. As Vicky did say, we're coming off the cusp of decriminalization. So why is it? We talked about the age, we know the development. Why is this such an important discussion to have in 2022, heading into
Absolutely.
2023?
Absolutely. So, first of all, cannabis can be used for medical purpose or it can be used in a recreational space. Just like you might want to have a cocktail or a glass of wine when you come home from work. Um, you should be able to legally consume cannabis in whatever way you need to. Again, as I stated in the beginning, adult regulated use. So, for the medical space, in Virginia, currently, the only way that you can purchase cannabis legally is if you are a registered medical patient. Okay. Come July 1, the only thing you'll need to have is just a doctor's form that certifies you. I don't even believe you'll have to pay the $50 fee anymore. Now, legally, you can grow cannabis in Virginia. So you can grow it like this brother. He stated that he's been growing weed in his closet since he was 16. I'm going to leave that alone. You do what you do. But if you want to grow it now in Virginia, you legally can grow up to 4 plants. Up to 4 plants. Did I say 4? I said 4.
Oh, yeah.
Like on the 5th floor, but 4 plants only. Now, 4 plants can give you quite a bit of weed if they grow high. Another thing is that you cannot have these pop-up shops, okay? They've had some real serious busts. They had a bust in Norfolk, they had a bust in Virginia Beach, okay? And every single one of you listening to me, watching me, probably knows somebody who's done a pop-up shop. You probably know somebody who's made some edibles, made some oils, and they try to sell it to you because you like, hey, it's legal, right? No, it's not. Okay. Let me repeat myself. The only thing that you can legally purchase when it comes to cannabis in Virginia is from a medical facility. And you have to be a registered medical patient to be able to do that. So I wanted to kind of start that off there. And why is this conversation so important? And I like the way that Luna, I'm going to use y'all alias names around this camp, get down like that. All right. Luna had stated, all right, it's really important to note that anything can be used irresponsibly. And we want you to be responsible consumers of cannabis. We want to change the way cannabis is seen in Virginia. We want to make sure that you are actively involved in the political space to ensure that you have opportunities to be a part of this billion-dollar business.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite in Virginia yet, but it is a billion-dollar business in the United States, in states that are legal.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that you understand how to create the proper structures so that you can do and understand what you legally can sell and be a part of if you are in Virginia. So ancillary businesses are definitely the way to go. Selling papers, selling products that people can grow cannabis. I mean, you can't even really purchase seeds in Virginia. Matter of fact, you can't. Really, you can't purchase seeds in Virginia. People can give you things, but you can't purchase them. We want to change those laws. The only way you can change laws if one, you're a registered voter, number one, so you can vote legislators in that support what you're passionate about. And two, if you learn how to engage with your legislators. At the end of the day, they're public servants, which means they serve you. And we need to make sure we own that.
Yeah.
Man, this is definitely powerful because I think at the end of the day, you know, when most people have these conversations, again, it's mostly about if you are on this side or that side. And for me, I think I'm appreciative of this conversation because I wanted to have this for my family and friends to protect them. You know, because again, when you hear it's legal, you just think it's legal and you go and you do whatever you want
Right.
to do. Like you said, these pop-up shops, and you know, we love a pop-up shop. You know, we like it just said on the screen, I love a pop-up shop. But at the end of the day, if you don't know that it's wrong, then you don't know that it's wrong. All we know is legal, but what does that mean and what does that represent? So for me,
Absolutely.
for those who are watching this that's not in the state of Virginia, again, the only thing that we're talking about is the legalities around it. We're not saying to do that. We're not saying that right now, today, go and get you 4 plants. Like, that's not what we're trying to promote. But what we're promoting is, again, that responsible usage of it. So I want to kind of transition very briefly here because we can talk about laws, we can talk about all of those things, but I want to get into specifically some of the benefits of cannabis use. And I know earlier I said about the mental health space, and when I brought that up, one of the audience members kind of had a question, and I did that because I am a certified substance abuse counselor. So in that space, we're told that any substance that someone uses is wrong. So for me, I had a hard time breaking that stigma because I didn't understand that there was a benefit. I didn't understand why people were doing it because in my RAM, we're just taught that is wrong. People lose their jobs because of it. We talk about the criminalization. We talk about all those things. So for me tonight, I want to know, what are the medical benefits of cannabis?
So there is a myriad of medical benefits for cannabis. Um, a viewer stated it helps with anxiety and PTSD. I have anxiety and it helps with my anxiety. I probably have PTSD too. But it also gets me to focus if I get the right strand. So, as well as I have arthritis, the pain, it's helpful there. When I was going through my breast cancer journey about 14 years ago and I was taking chemo, I used it to combat my nausea. Also, if you have a wasting disease, and you're not able to eat, a lot of times people who are going through chemotherapy, things of that nature, or might be afflicted with AIDS or any type of disease that will cause you to have problems eating, it will definitely work on um getting you to eat because it prompts you, to get the munchies, right? But we don't want to say it like that. I also want to add something else, Luna. We want to talk about not only just the medical component, but the responsible use recreationally. Okay. Because even from your perspective, as someone who is a substance abuse counselor, as a licensed therapist, if you will, anything can be used irresponsibly. We can, just like alcoholics, you can take pills, you can use food irresponsibly. But that doesn't mean that every substance you consume is going to become an irresponsible substance. So we have to be mindful of that. When we use it, what our triggers are, and how do we use this in a manner that we're just using it for recreational use and we're not causing any problems. Now, as a professional, as a mediator, trainer, and a conflict coach, as someone who serves on gubernatorial boards, and if you can see my sign up here, professionals consume cannabis. We need to take away the stigma from consuming cannabis in a recreational space or in a medical space. So I just kind of wanted to touch upon that. But depending on your needs, cannabis can be used in a variety of spaces. I have overcome 2 strokes. I use cannabis responsibly in the medical space because I have anxiety now that has been heightened from me coming back from having these 2 strokes. And I have told every doctor that I have seen that I use cannabis, and the main thing they have told me, use it responsibly. Don't consume too much, because the way I consume it is by smoking. So I don't want my heart to work too hard. So I want to be mindful when I utilize it. The main thing they have told me not to do is drink alcohol.
Oh wow. Yeah. Wow. That's
You
pretty
know,
telling.
yeah, I was kind of gonna dive straight into it because talk about the responsible use and then understanding how it can affect and the different things not to do it, like you say, not to use alcohol. Are there any negative side effects, any negative things that we are to look out for upon the consumption of it
Well,
as
I
well?
would say this. If you start to let's just, and I'm sure Luna can jump in on this. If
Yeah.
you start to not pay your bills because you sitting up there getting high every day, it's a problem. If you start to not go to work because you're getting high every day, that's a problem. If it starts to become more important to you to sit around and smoke blunts all day, that's a problem. If it starts to affect you making wise decisions about choices for yourself or your family, then it becomes a problem. Anything that can be used can be misused, and we need to be mindful of that. Anything that is safe can be unsafe if we do too much of it.
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful. Again, that's why I stated from the jump, adult use. Am I going to sit here and lie to you and say that I didn't smoke when I was 17? No, that's the truth. But was I making wise decisions when I was doing it? Probably not. I was putting myself in stupid spaces because I was being stupid because I was getting high.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking about it because our minds, when do our minds mature, Luna?
When
To
we're
make wise
well,
choices when
Yeah.
you're consuming.
go ahead. Since you got it, go ahead.
Well, I can speak for the males. I know our frontal lobe does not develop until we're 28. So to
Well,
really be able to comprehend, decisions, it's not even until 28 by the brain.
So they tend to say 21, and then it depends on, and this is what I will say, because my background is trauma. And as you were talking, one thing I want to do, because we always want to shout out our audience members, I want to shout out Chad, because we really appreciate your feedback, King. I really hope that you can see that we're not coming from a government perspective, but we're really coming from the heart. We're coming from a mind for our community. So again, thank you so much for just chiming in today. We see your comments. I want to make sure we acknowledge you. But when it comes to the trauma, and I want to kind of go back to the question that we were talking about, when a trauma happens, like that world traveler that has a big old map on their wall, and everywhere they go, they put that little red dot so that they know, okay, I don't need to go there no more. That's typically sometimes what trauma ends up doing to us, is it stunts us in that space. And then especially in our community, we're creating it, but we haven't always had safe spaces to talk about those things that has happened to us. So then when you are introduced to cannabis or other substances, right, you end up overusing at times because now it's filling that void that you didn't even know was there. So if I am utilizing this substance to run away from something, so like, for example, this show for me, I'm going to be real. I almost canceled it. I'm going to tell you why, right? Because I'm on this journey to being the best version of myself. And I just started being a cannabis user. But then I just tell you that I'm a substance abuse counselor, right? So here I am trying to figure out this space of what's positive, what's negative, what's going on. And I have to sit with myself, just like you guys who are listening, to ask why am I doing this? There is benefits to it, but what's my why? And like Miss Vicky said, when I'm using it, what's my reason for using it? Why am I doing this thing? I know for me, I have my boundaries. I'm never under the influence when I'm around my children. because I know what it does to me. It slows me down to the point where I cannot be reactive if they need me. So I had to set those boundaries. So when does it become unhealthy is when you cannot think, because yes, they say that our brains are fully developed at certain ages and stages, and I can give you all of those statistics, but I choose typically to not go that route because everybody doesn't meet those marks at the same time, depending on what they had happen in their lives, what they're willing to actually acknowledge now. So when people are in that space, what I would say is if you're using it for, let's say, anxiety, right? Or depression, or it just calms you down because you're always busy and on the go, my role is to say, have other supports in your space as well. Because when you are, under, I'm not gonna say under influence in a bad way, but when you are in that calm state, it feels great, but it still doesn't take away some of those symptoms that it helps to medicate. Because in that moment, it's becoming that temporary medication so that I don't feel as anxious. I don't feel as unfocused. I don't feel these spaces. So having that extra support around you really helps. And if you can find a good support, like I told my therapist, she ain't judge me and she know my background. Like you want someone that's going to make sure that they have those supports around them. So Flex, I want to hear from you because I know you kind of have some experience in the government realm, being in the military. So I would love to hear what are some of the negative connotations around cannabis when it comes to individuals that is kind of a part of that space.
Yeah. Well, to put it frankly, it's a no-go.
Say it again. It's a no, nada. You ain't doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, people have done it. I think back my younger years in the military where they were more soft on their stance. If you popped hot on the urinalysis, the commander had the option to discharge you from the military or to initiate the paperwork to discharge you. And while it's still that now, it is less tolerance. It's almost, I mean, if it happens, especially if you're higher up in the ranks, you forget about it. It's a career stopper for you, But with that being said, I know there's the CBD, and I think that's the all part without the THC. Am I understanding it right?
You are, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna let you finish because I'm about to jump on that real quick too.
Yeah. So, well, my question is simple. Like, what's the difference? Because I hear these stories, and here in Texas, they have CBD shops popping up, and I've tried it, and this is what people tell me. It's like taking a Tylenol. Like you don't feel anything, but you know it's working. And
so that's a great question. Okay. That's a great question. So CBD is with THC extracted. But this is where the problem lies, y'all. CBD is not regulated. Okay? So you don't know what the heck you getting. And say, for example, I went to a summit a few years ago. Attorney General Herron gave it, and they had people from all over the nation. And that's when I learned that CBD is not regulated, which means that when you go buy CBD at the pop-ups at the stores in Texas or the stores here in Virginia, you don't know if it's all CBD. You don't know what's in it. They have actually pulled CBD and found that people had cocaine in the CBD because it's an unregulated industry.
Wow.
That's really troubling. So the CBD that you get from a medical facility has to be regulated. They have different levels and it's extracted, as the gentleman has said. Jad, no, it is not regulated in the United States. No, sir. I'm sorry, sir. No, sir, I am absolutely right. But I'm not going to argue with you because you can own that. I know what I know. You own your thought. I ain't mad at it. But I'm telling y'all, CBD is not regulated in the United States. Now, you will go in a store and you will see CBD everywhere. But they only have, I want to say they have a testing spot in Richmond. Lady is connected with VCU. You can have your stuff tested and you will find, you won't know what's in there. Now, another thing that pops up all over Virginia is Delta 8. Delta 8 is not, it doesn't have the exact, okay, Chad, we talking about the United States, my friend? Dude, really? Are you serious? You want to be right? Be right. Okay. So Delta 8 is it's a different component of hemp. So, of course, cannabis and hemp are very closely related, and it's Delta 9 in the THC in the hemp in the chemical components of it that gets you high. So that's what's illegal, right? Unless it's in a medical space. Now, if you go to other states like Illinois, California, Colorado, it's legal. But then where it becomes problematic, and I think Flex, we kind of had that conversation in Messenger, is when it becomes problematic is the fact that it's not legal at the federal level.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. So while the states can say, yeah, the federal government could come in and give you all kinds of problems, right?
Exactly. And so when it becomes, let's say, for example, if you were able to create a medical dispensary, right? Depending on how it's set up, the only thing you'll be able to write off in a business sense would be the actual product, which is cannabis. So you wouldn't be able to write off, like if you're in business for yourself, other things that go along with it, like, salaries, taxes, things like that. So you're taxed on your gross as opposed to your net. That is cost prohibitive for folks when they're starting plant touching businesses in the
Wow.
United States. That's why we have to change these laws to decriminalize cannabis at the federal level, not just the state level.
Yeah. So, but back to the original question about the CBD, if it's in its pure form, like, is it really effective, or is it just one of those aphrodisiacs, or not aphrodisiacs? What's
You
the
talk about
medicine?
CBD?
Yes.
Yeah, CBD is effective. Absolutely.
Okay.
I know I've used it for pain. I mean, because everybody don't want to be high all the time.
Right.
Sometimes, you just need to use it for pain, inflammation. It's very well to be used for inflammation. And definitely has some great medical properties as well as pain relieving properties.
Gotcha. Because I've seen it in the form of oils.
Yes, sir.
A chapstick, and just a number of things right there. So
hair. I mean, sometimes people put stuff into products for marketing purposes.
Just
and sometimes people think they're going to get high off of something and they not.
Yeah. Oh, man. Got you. So I want to talk about, before we go to the next topic, well, I'll wait, because that's probably for another part of the show. I know Fierce, you had something before we go to the commercial.
Yeah, I love how it flows. I love how it's rolling. So with everything going on, we see where, federal level, how you kind of run into that ceiling there, although statewise is opening up. Where does that leave the criminal records? Yes.
That's a great question, because, it's almost like taxation without representation, right? It's like, okay, how are these people making all this money on cannabis and our black and brown folks still in prison? For the very thing that folks is out here making money on. Because we, every single one of us on this call has known the weed man. We know somebody who was the weed man. We know somebody who was the weed lady. Whoever was the person who was the weed hookup, the plug, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So, but then if they got caught up, they in prison or in jail, or even if they get out, it's still on their record. So that's something that we're fighting for at the state level.
Yeah.
This current governor is not supportive and is not actually making moves as quickly as they should to seal the records of folks, or even even expunge the records of folks, or most importantly, release our folks who are in prison for the same thing that folks is out here across the nation making millions of dollars from.
Yeah, I'm just thinking how inmate, someone that's incarcerated, how they feel knowing that they're doing major time and fines and criminal records, and to literally see people out here or know of people out here with businesses profiting big time off of it. Like that has to be demoralizing.
It has to hurt.
Yeah,
it has
I think
to hurt.
it's the mindset. Like I was sitting here reading, and again, this is not a show to argument anybody's, point or change anybody's mind. But when you put it out there, then use my words, you put it out there, right? I think it's the mindset, because again, one of the comments I just saw was it wasn't legal then. That doesn't matter whether it was legal then or not. Like, it's the same thing with alcohol. At one point it wasn't legal, but we don't see anybody throwing it at anybody's face as no alcoholic, or you go to the ABC store regularly and you good. Like, we got to do better as a community, and we got to understand that it's not everybody who's in there that was selling marijuana or cannabis or weed, whatever we want to use. So as people of color, we have to do way better with some of the things that we throw out, me included. Like I said, like, this for me is learning. This for me, I'm still trying to grow in this space and be comfortable, because I'm coming from a space where it's all bad. There's nothing good talked about. But if we're going to have comments that says it wasn't legal then, that's like saying back in the day, you did all your stuff right, and 9 times out of 10, you didn't. So right now, and I've never done this before, Chad, my king, we not giving no more energy. We see your comments, baby, but we're not going to respond, because if we do that, it's taken away from the other people who are really trying to come up here and learn. And we've had you kick it with us for some time, but I have to be the one to make sure that we protect our platform, because what you're sharing is not positivity. And that is what we are all about on this show. And it goes back to what we're even talking about. There's people that are now incarcerated that are serving time because a lot of them, that's all they knew to take care of their basic needs. Now, here go to mental health wreck, right? So when it comes down to people who actually do those things, it's because there was a basic need that was not met. It even goes back to right now in Portsmouth, Virginia, they're killing people every day. And Suffolk, Virginia, they're killing people every day. They don't even have the right amount of officers inside of the city to take care of their city, that they're using cities from other places. Like, we got to make sure that we're seeing why people even choose to put themselves in illegal situations in the first place. So what we want to talk about today is called Maslow hierarchy of needs. Now, I promise you, I'm not going to stay on my soapbox very long, but now I'm passionate. You pulled it out. Here we go. So when your basic needs are not met, that means if you don't have food, water, shelter, and sex is even under that, right? If you don't have those things, you're going to do other stuff to fill that void. Absolutely. And then on the second part of that, it don't talk about you having a job and getting money. It talks about having this feeling of safety, security, and belonging. So if I am living in the projects, which is what the Culture Podcast was about anyway, it's opening up the house to our colored people's neighborhoods, right? If I am living in a housing development that tell me my dad cannot stay with me because the no man in the house rule, and now all I got is my mama and all these kids around me, and this gang member tells me, yo, bro, I can tell you how to make money for your mama so she can have a car to get where she need to go. I'm going to tell you how to make, this money so you can have food in your house and your mama ain't got to sell her body no more. Of course, I'm going to get on a corner when there's something that is not regulated because it's illegal. The same thing when it happened to speakeasies with alcohol. But now these people are incarcerated because we as colored people are afraid to actually step up for our community. Let me say it again. We as colored people have been afraid at times to step up for our community because we didn't have the platform. So now that we have the platform, we have people like the Miss Vickies and we have Flex and we have all those different things, is very helpful for us to kind of step in and just be that voice for those who may never see the light of day because their sentence was actually put in because it was selling something that wasn't legal at the time that's now becoming legal. What do we do for those people as we're transitioning? So that's my soapbox I got. I don't even know where that came from, but heck, somebody needed it. But we need to just do better with how we're processing and putting it in our minds and being more flexible, so then we can make changes, so then we can, have open conversations like this, so we can know how do we change this for individuals who are, out there and don't have a voice right now. So go ahead, babe.
No, you good. I honestly think this may be a good place, to kind of pause, commercial break, as they say, back in TV land, pay some bills.
Yes.
If they say that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick intermission real quick and go to our commercial break, and we will be back shortly.
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it?
Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in and go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah.
Peace. Thank you. So we are back again, Culture Podcast. We have Queen Aunt, our OG Miss Vicky, in the place. She's been dropping some gems, breaking down some nuggets as it pertains to where cannabis is in the state of Virginia, but then also kind of what we're facing on a federal level. So I have another question for you, Miss Vicky. I'm a civics teacher. I'm a civics teacher. I deal with amendments and laws and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
And the 18th Amendment it prohibited alcohol back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then less than 4 amendments later, they said that was a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So with alcohol once being legal, do you feel that the path of cannabis legalization, the model of how alcohol was dealt with, do you think that would be a way to kind of shape and fashion how cannabis can be legalized federally?
And it's ironic that you mentioned that, because you go back to the 20s. And in the 20th century, some of y'all don't even know what that is, but I'm good with that. Prohibition came about the same way regarding archaic, narrow-minded mindsets, right? Narrow-minded folks. They went to the Bible and they were basically saying you should not consume spirits, it's evil. And then what did they end up doing? Creating bathtub gin, right? And the same folks who were banging the Bibles, they back there in the back at the speakeasies, drinking bathtub gin and going blind. So, and then you had a whole industry that was illegal who were making billions of dollars off of that, right? I mean, I believe the Kennedy's family started off being bootleggers. So, some of these bootleggers' families have continued. So I think the same issue is coming about, but also let's talk about racism. So, folks started making cannabis illegal, cocaine illegal, because how it was impacting Black and brown folks. Because cannabis was legal in the 1900s. Cannabis was legal in the early part of the 20th century, right? It was completely legal. Shoot, cocaine was in Coca-Cola. That's real talk. If you go back and you look at some of the elixirs that we use to deal with coughs and things of that nature, you got THC, you got cocaine, you got morphine, you got heroin. All these things are in there. So it goes back to some of the problems that folks were having with Black folks. And next thing you know, they make cannabis illegal, right? So it's similar, but it's not, because it goes back to racist issues as to why they made certain cannabis illegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, the Constitution is a living, breathing document, so it can be
Okay.
changed. It's like a body.
Yep.
So it's a living, breathing document that it was created so it can be modified. And this goes back to something that every one of y'all need to hear. If you're not registered to vote, shut up. If you can't register to vote, then you need to take people to the polls, okay? And you need to get your rights restored in Virginia. If you do not engage with your legislators, if you are a Facebook pundit, shut up. If you don't engage with your legislators, you need to start talking to them. Because the only way things can change, it doesn't matter about the parties. It's not about the Republican Party. It's not about the Democratic Party. It's not about the Libertarian Party. It's not about the Tea Party. It's not about the party that you made up in your bathroom. It's not about that. It's about the people that you elect and who you hold accountable. Okay? The only way we can change things, the only way we were able to change things at the state level was because we had legislators who heard us. These same legislators, whether they're Republican or Democratic, it makes no difference. Okay? But it is up to you to hold them accountable, because at the end of the day, they are public servants, which regardless of their political status, they serve you. And we, as people of color, have got to realize that we are a powerful, powerful group. And we need to stop segregating ourselves from other people of color. Can you imagine what kind of power we would hold if we connected with the Latinas, if we connected with the Asians, and we connected as a block? How we could shift things in power? But we have to stop worrying about who's in charge and how we can move collectively. So I
So
know
speaking of,
away from your question, Furious, but
yeah,
I,
that's good.
yes,
Hey,
sir.
so but speaking of the government though, so the states are legalizing it.
Yes.
What protections are, or better yet, are there any protections for these stores that pop up? Not pop up, that are operating. Are there
There ain't
protections
no
from the federal
protections.
government? So
There's
it
no
just
protection because it's illegal. Remuneration for cannabis, if you're not a medically registered patient in Virginia and you don't purchase it from a medical dispensary, is illegal. If you run a pop-up shop, you take the risk of being arrested, and depending on how much you hold it, you take the risk of getting a high-level misdemeanor or felony. That's on you.
so what states are in danger? So Vegas, I'm thinking about Las Vegas. They have
Oh,
recreational.
Nevada is definitely legal. Vegas definitely legal. Colorado, Illinois.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
17 states where recreational is legal.
But
they're
are they
ma-
protected from the federal government?
Okay, protected how?
Like from prosecution, seizure, I don't know, whatever.
That's a great question. To a point. It's like this, okay? I'm not gonna wag the dog, right? That's not what I'm trying to do. I need to because they still gotta pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're paying taxes on gross. So that means they get more tax money from legal operations.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Think about it now. Follow the money.
So that's gonna keep them from
Right.
shit anyway. I got you.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Peace.
But that was a great question, sir.
So
Follow the money.
Yeah, I love the snowball. So check this out. You mentioned earlier it's almost like a gold rush, right? I've been referring it to as a green rush, to be honest with you. But that kind of goes perfectly into this, which I'm blessed that you all have been supporters of the business of G Rolling Papers. For those that don't know, G Rolling Papers is an unbleached hemp rolling paper brand. So again, with the understanding of how this is opening up business-wise, and those that are savvy enough, those that have the intellect, what are some tips for those that are seeking to get into business, you know, but aren't really sure, especially with the laws, what are some other avenues that people that are looking to contribute, people that are looking to capitalize, what are some avenues that they can take in being a part of this business, this industry that's blowing up?
That is a great question. So, ancillary businesses are the way to move in Virginia. Okay. Ancillary businesses are businesses such as what you have yourself, selling consumables, papers that allow you to consume cannabis. You might be able to sell products that allow you to reduce cannabis down to CBDs, oils, growing products. There's a business, Carrie Thurman. I can't think of the name of her business, but what she does is she supports folks who want to grow cannabis in their home. So she gives you guidance, she helps you with the growing, gives you techniques so you can harvest and grow your own products in your home. That's a way to get into business as a consultant, if you will. If you like, for me, I'm a mediator. I am working my mediation business into the cannabis space. Might not be able to do it in Virginia, but I can certainly mediate virtually for any state that may have issues. So think of it from this perspective. Whatever you need to do in business, you can do it in a cannabis space. The challenge will be is if you're trying to do a plant touching business at this time. And it'll cost at least $1.5 million to start a dispensary, a medical dispensary. And there are zoning issues that are involved with that, as well as there's only 5 licenses in Virginia for medical dispensary spaces. So any type of business that would support it, you can definitely start in Virginia. So ancillary businesses like yours, sir. And if I can just mention, Flex, can I mention this very quickly, sir?
Yes, yes, yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. So on Saturday, June 18th, from 9 to 3, there is a cannabis opportunity movement. And it will be held at the 6 Mount Zion Stream Center at 1705 Aspenwood Drive. And this is under the leadership of Pastor Barber. So Pastor Barber is a very progressive pastor. He understands the necessity of learning more about the economics of cannabis as well as the medical benefits of cannabis. And so this will be going on Saturday, June 18th from 9 to 3. I will be facilitating a panel with the boot camp, the cannabis boot camp, as well as there will be other panelists there. Dr. Barber, he's a panelist. Dr. Willard Maxwell is also a pastor of New Beach Baptist Church, New Beach Grove. Sheba Williams of No Left Turns, as well as Nigis Abebe, who works for Columbia Care. She is one of the best and well-known national experts on cannabis, legalization and cannabis in the United States. So if you're able to come, please do. You can scan for tickets. I think it's $29. So I would love to meet you in person, and I would love to see you there. Thank you so much, Flex.
Man, Virginia got it going on. Hey, I'm thinking about when you said the pastor.
Yes.
Made me think about that Friday movie with Bernie Mac.
Man, listen, can you get a little something for the head, right?
Yeah, a little scene.
Man, this was so powerful. And I think, it's great for us just to acknowledge, especially for those who are new to the Culture podcast. This was created specifically for communities of color to have a platform to safely discuss those things that have been taboo in our communities, but are actually plaguing our communities and not allowing to face forward in our communities. So I definitely don't want anybody to feel like that they're left out. But here's the reality. Being someone that is really big with EDI, we have all these terms of equality and all these things that we're trying to do. That's great. But sometimes we just need our own space, and this is what this space is for. And I want to make sure that we do acknowledge that it's not leaving anyone out. But if you are on this platform, the Culture Podcast is specifically for the neighborhoods of color, people of color, and that is what we're talking about, because that's our experience. Because sometimes what you can find is great to want diversity, equality, and inclusion, but if you've never been hungry, how can I feed you? So we want to make sure that people understand that that's where we're coming from. We do want to make sure that we answer this question for this queen. I know her as Molly, but she's up here as Lorette, and we're going to find this question for you here. And I want to make sure that we end out information with this, especially for our people in Virginia. So if you visited any medical dispensaries in Virginia, do you feel that their products have enough THC? Was her question.
Now, for me, they do. But again, that's your own personal, you have to have that experience yourself. So I think the highest I've seen in Virginia was 23% THC. That may not be enough for some folk, but for me, I smoke half a joint, I'm good. You know, in DC, you can probably get higher. And in Virginia, DC is reciprocal in Virginia. And that's also very important to note. So you can take your card and go to DC to the dispensaries. Now, DC has this thing about that folks be trying to do in Virginia with remuneration. Okay, you buy some papers for $60 and they give you a gram or two. Okay, you can't do that in Virginia. You can do that in DC though. Y'all do y'all thing. You know, I got medical issues. So for me, I'm going just to the medical dispensary because I need to know what's going in my body. Y'all can do what you like.
Yeah. I was saying, as you were talking about that, and that's one thing that I do want to just bring forth before we prepare for our next commercial break is, as you started this conversation with us, I appreciate you saying adult regulated use. And the reason why I say that is because right now there's so many of our youth that's trying to figure this thing out. Now they're lacing candy and they're ODing on candy. Right. They're doing all these things. So conversations like this are necessary. It's kind of like the sex talk. Like I talk to people all the time, like, don't wait till your kid is 13 to have the birds and the bees talk when they know what pleasure feels like at 6 months old. And at 3 years old, they're already talking about how they like this person and things like that. Like we have to be able to have these levels of conversations. So I encourage any parent out there to talk to your kid. Ask them, are they using? Because again, if you don't at least open up that conversation, then they may go to that person that don't have anything that's regulated because it's not medical and you don't know what they're growing it from, where they're getting it from. And then that's another area. And it's kind of like even with the speakeasies, like you said, people were going blind. Why? Because it was illegal and we still want to do this thing and I'm going to try to figure it out. So we want to just be mindful. We want to be knowledgeable. And I want for every person who is watching this tonight, my hope for you is that you were able to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Because if you do that, then we can save our youth and our community one road joint at a time. How about that? But no, honestly, I want to make sure that we're doing good.
One G rolling paper at a time. Make sure y'all get them.
He's silly.
He's got silly. The website and everything.
Yes,
silly.
So we're going to go to this commercial break. And when we come back, I just want us to be able to share what we got going on that can support our communities as well. Because we're not just up here talking about cannabis. It's a lot of other things that we do as business owners, especially in the Hampton Roads area and Flex down there in Texas. So let's hit this commercial break and then we'll tell you guys what we have going on next.
M Green Enterprises LLC, the home of Malabra Green, your confidence coach. Malabra Green is a licensed clinical social worker who serves as a psychotherapist, Reiki master, and transformative speaker. She is striving to provide the world with preventative services to lower the number of individuals in mental health facilities while helping people grow from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Malabra is ready to help the humans of the world find their best selves. Please be sure to check out www.malabratransforms.com because Malabra is ready to transform with you.
Yes, I am ready to transform with you, and he is transforming into daddy mode real quick to make sure that one of our kids is not going crazy. But anyway, yeah, so I am here. I want to really be able to work with our community to change our mindset, and not just our community. My background is in trauma, and everybody has experienced some form of trauma. So if I can help you acknowledge your pain, normalize what you have experienced, and allow you to see that there's a life out there for you to live and to literally live out life. Like, listen, don't be what Les Brown says. He says most of us die at age 30. We just don't get buried until we're 70. I want to be that CPR in your life so that you can actually live a full life. Something that I have going on, if you are in the Hampton Roads area, I am on the board of Vision Driven 757, a local nonprofit, and we are hosting our Be Well Wellness Fair. So it's a back to school event. We're going to have supplies and all that great jazz. But what we wanted to do differently was in real time allow for you guys to get services. So we're going to have therapists, life coaches, some dental people, some physicians, chiropractors. Like, we want in real time for you to come, get what you need, and then hopefully walk away with your first appointment for when you go into the school year. Yourself and your kids would be great. So if you are in the Hampton Roads area and you want to be in combination with that, or you have something that the kids can do for before and after school, literally any resource you can think that a kid and a family need for the school year, please let me know so I can add you to the list. So that is what I got working on coming up. And then Friday, last piece of this, Style-teenth, my very first live event hosted with Vicky G Styling. We are actually talking about the mindset and how to dress yourself and how to feel good from the inside out. So that's what I got going on. What about you, Furious, walking up here?
Hey, peace. Yes. So, again, Shopify. I actually have a Shopify website, G Rolling Papers. You can look it up. And this is a bit again. Business is open 24/7. You could go in. It's also on social media as well. So if you are somebody that would love to support the brand, support the business, we're doing great things and we're promoting great health. These burn with zero carcinogens. Carcinogens meaning they burn with zero cancer-causing agents.
Yeah.
So as you're utilizing it, understand that you're doing your body justice. So yes, definitely reach out, connect. I would love to bless you with the box. I would love to be someone to support you in that lens. But beyond that, teaching, being able to communicate that which I pour out is something that I'm doing, especially going into the summertime, looking in to just be a mentor, being able somebody to pour into. A lot of time opens up, and that's something that I'm fortunate to have. And last but not least, the Rasta Master is available on all streaming platforms. If you are a lover of music, this is a banger. I mean, it has Caribbean music, it has boom bap, it got some stuff that you can vibe to. We got somebody, Luna, featured on the track, and she has the best voice on the whole album. So stream that, go on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, name it, it is there. Furious Styles, the Rasta Master.
Hey, I co-signed for that brother music. It's dope, man. I listen to it. I'm a fan, man. Seriously.
Peace. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, I want Vicky, before she go into what she got going on, I want you to answer this question right here, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I would recommend a 1-to-1 where you have one of THC and one of CBD to deal with your inflammation. The more CBD that you have in the product that you consume is going to manage your inflammation.
Really?
But if you have a medical card, talk to the pharmacist. They'll definitely give you some great advice as well.
So CBD, not the actual one with the THC, helps with inflammation.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Didn't know that.
All right. So for me, I'm a mediator. So I am the mediator that you want. I'm the conflict coach that you need. If you have any conflict, any issues, any challenges in a business space, in a personal space, if you need a separation agreement, reach out to me. My number is 757-816-4478. And you can email me at info@opndoor.com. Or you can go to my website, www.opndoor.com. As well as I host virtual co-parenting classes. So you can find that on my website as well. So this was a great opportunity. I really appreciate y'all for having me here tonight.
Yeah, that's dope.
Oh, one more thing. I'm going to be starting a new podcast. It will probably debut July 17th, and it's going to be called The Aunties. And I might be using this platform because I kind of like it.
Restream is dope. Reach out to me. I'll teach you everything I know, which ain't much, but at
I
least it help you get
Oh
started.
my gosh.
probably
I'm
want to
about to say
remain in contact with you.
you might as well come to the Floor is Yours podcast family, but we'll talk about that off the screen. Lex, what you got going on? Because it's something big. So I'm gonna try to be quiet so you can tell the people.
Hey, I'm Mario Missy, so I like the way you give information. So I'm gonna let you give whatever that is. But I do want to do a plug for my boy T Will, Superman T Will. Educate and Motivate is back tomorrow. We're gonna do a special noontime show, 12:30 Central Time, and we're gonna be on the dressing something that happened big in the news today, and they done jumped up the interest rate
Yep.
another 3/4%. So we're gonna talk about, are you able to buy a house? We're going to give you some different considerations because in this time it's different. A lot of jobs are teleworking, and
Yep.
that saves on your commute. Maybe you can move further out and not have to worry about the fuel and just a number of other things. So we're going to talk about things to consider when you trying to figure out whether or not you should get in the home buying market. So we're going to talk about credit and just some good old money management tips. It's going to be a good show tomorrow, 12:30 Central Time, right here on the Floor is Yours podcast.
Oh, listen. Congratulations for the show coming back on. I'm definitely excited about that. I truly am. And I know it's going to be great information, especially for people who, I know for me, we don't watch the news, which could be a good and a bad thing. So sometimes we kind of find out late. So we got to do better. So thank you for that. And I know a lot of people that follows our podcast platform, they will be appreciative of that conversation. So definitely welcome back. I'm laughing because Flex is so humble, y'all. Like, I think I'm more excited about what he got happening than he is. So on June the 25th, on the Mobile TV Global Network, we are hosting the State of My Mental, a Black man's POV. And there are going to be some really big heavy hitters that is going to be live on June the 25th. And it's going to be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1 p.m. My boy Marcellus Carlos, aka Mars from Greenwood, he's going to be the person facilitating and moderating that panel. But on that panel, we're going to have Antonio Mitchell, Carl Gerard, Brandon Pumphrey, Amani Khalid. We're going to have Carlton Alexander, Troy Carell, Gerard Ware, aka Flex the producer, Jeremy Walker, and then this last one. You ready? Y'all ready? Anybody ready? Dr. Matthew Knowles. And if anybody like Beyonce, then you'll know why I'm excited and Flex ain't telling nobody. But no, for real, please make sure that you guys follow the Mobile TV Global Network, because the Floor is Yours podcast, we are in partnership with them. And we have our Greenwood podcast that's on the platform as well, that is debuting on that network. So we want to just make sure that we support those fellows. So two of our very own, Mr. Flex, the producer, and Mars is going to be live on that. Make sure y'all register. It is free. So listen, we're trying to save our Black communities, and we can't do that until we change our mindset. So we have some Black men that are willing to talk about mental health, willing to talk about coping strategies. It is the time to be there. So please make sure that y'all support Flex, the producer. Yes, all these congratulations. See, y'all are matching my excitement because Flex is Mr. Humility, but it's all good. So I want to make sure before we close out, just give everybody an opportunity to share what is the one thing that either you're taking away from this conversation or the last thing that you want to share with the people before we call it a night tonight.
I would love to start network. One thing I heard Miss Vicky say is we have a bad habit of not going outside one of our communities, but even within our community, but let alone going outside of our community. So to be able to have that network and realize where you pull your resources and sources from, I think that is huge. Whether it's business, politics, going into the government, all of those things, it really speaks volume.
Well, I would say the thing that I am walking away with is, as a people, in order for us to truly heal our community, we must be open-minded. And for those individuals that are a part of our community, they have to understand that we have to get away from the I don't see color, because I used to be one of those. I don't see color because my family's mixed. This is happening. This is what's going on. But I'm realizing that is minimizing the experience that some of the members of my family actually did experience. So when we can actually stop this, well, color doesn't matter, then we can really begin to heal, really begin to acknowledge that there's some truth in the pain, that there's a lot of truth in the pain, and then we can walk forward together and begin to heal all of our communities one person at a time. So that is what I am taking away from.
So my takeaway is, first of all, it is very important for Black folks to have safe spaces. It's also even more important for white folks to respect that we're going to have our safe space, because your entire world is your safe space. That's number one. Number two, engagement. Engage with your legislators. Get them to know you. Know them. Know who they are, first of all. Number two, be registered to vote and encourage everybody that you know to be registered to vote. And then lastly, vote. But definitely engage with your legislators. And I'm with you. I've never said that I don't see color. Reason being is because I am a Black blonde woman. Okay? And you gonna see me. Not only you gonna see me, you gonna damn sure hear me.
Right
Real
on.
talk.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be loud and Black in every space that I'm at. And you got to respect it. You ain't got to like it, but you sure will respect where I am. And we need to be okay with that, because the fact that I'm a Black woman brings intellect, power, and diversity. And diversity is important and it's powerful, because we can learn not only from Black folks, but we can learn within our own Black African diaspora. We can learn from our Caribbean brothers and sisters. We can learn from our Black Latino brothers and sisters. We can learn within our own community. So diversity is important. And I really appreciate y'all doing this. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
And mine be real quick. Just in that vein of diversity and building off what Furious said earlier is man, there's strength in numbers. And for us to be most effective, we do need to build allies. Some that are that what Luna said earlier, that understand that our experience is real, and to minimize it does nothing for the cause. So, man, building those allies of people that are, and you don't even got to be the smartest and the most understanding, just be empathetic, and you know that goes a long way. So, hey, Miss Vicky, thank you. I can't wait to do another one to get you back on here again. You're a wealth of knowledge, breath of fresh air. You need it. You're in our community, and I just thank you for being.
I'd be honored to come back on here anytime. I'm available. Absolutely honored.
I was gonna say that's his secret code of, I'm gonna ask you for a one-on-one call so you can come on the podcast, because that's what happened to me. I was a guest and now we got a podcast. But anyway, that shows you though, in our community, we don't have to always have competition, but we can really come together and uplift each other. And that is what the Floor is Yours podcast platform is all about. So please make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment, you share. We're not just on Facebook, we're also on YouTube. And I also want to shout out Miss Tamika, who is the lead for the Mobile TV Global Network, because we are in an amazing partnership with them. And when I say them, it's because I'm on that as well. And we are over 15,000 networks internationally. So that means that we are doing the dang thing, and it's African American led, honey. So I am definitely excited about that. So I want to make sure that as we're doing this outro, that if you don't remember anything that we've said tonight, the one thing I want to remind you is you have to know you. Whichever side you fall on this conversation, You have to know where you fall and respect where other people fall in the conversation. Because if we do that, then we'll be open-minded to hear the true do's and don'ts. And I hope everybody in the Hampton Roads area specifically, because that's where we're from, and the state of Virginia now understand what you can and cannot do as it relates to cannabis. So Flex, go ahead and hit that outro, King, before we end up starting a whole nother podcast.
They the Roy's new podcast, who want the smoke? Coming raw and uncut like who want this dope? Whatever you want, they for sure to cover the topic. From racial issues to fashion flies to cockpit. Y'all ain't never get it like this, cause they ain't never did it like this. We on our this the way the cookie crumbles for y'all. She gon' bring the inspiration to all. You know what's up with her. And this shit manifesting is a vision. And y'all gon' love TJ cause he the realest. From the heart of a mob, they the start of it all. You looking for a holler and holler at your rug. The professor, nothing lesson, coming at you with the lessons. Get your edge if you knowin' what's good for you. They educated, but they still keep it hood for you. Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how pro the floor is yours. 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 The floor is yours.
Whew. I feel like a whole celebrity in these streets. Okay, so
That's
Flex,
very nice. Y'all,
wait a minute.
Yeah, Flex.
Is this the song that you did, Flex?
I wrote the hook for that one. I got in my
That's pretty
my brother-
slick, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. Okay, let's
I
do this.
got a little talent.
Writing artist approved.
Yes,
Are we off live?
Not
Not
yet.
yet. I'm about to close this off right now, y'all. Listen, tonight has been amazing. I really hope that you are leaving more educated, open-minded, and transformed. Because at the end of the day, that is what the Floor is Yours podcast is giving us a floor to be able to share our voice, share our knowledge, and share our stance. So make sure you share this so that we can save some of our Black and brown people lives, especially in the state of Virginia, as they're trying to figure out the legalization around cannabis. But outside of that, you guys are enough. Peace and blessings, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks, all right? So y'all take care.
Peace.
Peace.